The rise of mobile banking continues to create a competitive landscape for financial institutions, but security of that platform has not kept pace. Speaking to us about that is Ryan McGee. He is the Vice President of Business Development for Africa at Entersekt. Take a look. The mobile phone has changed how Africans do banking, and the issue of security is quite a big deal, isn't it?
Most definitely. I think if you look at banks these days, they're wanting people to be engaging on the digital channel. And the most important thing is getting that security element right, because once you've got the security right, and you can then grow the trust element between both the bank and its client, that people start trusting that mobile channel a lot more, then you can enable so much more. I think it's something that's been really well documented in Kenya, is that people already have an element of trust in the mobile channel to make their day-to-day payments, but people now want more financial inclusion, they want access to more products from their banks, and for that they're going to have to move to the app space, and unless that security element is in place, there won't be the trust. So that is one of the key foundations to moving people onto banking apps.
Now, when we are talking about securing the digital and mobile banking platforms across Africa, are we leading the pack in terms of innovations, or are we actually playing catch-up?
So in terms of innovation and solutions, I honestly believe that Africa as a continent is definitely ahead of the rest of the world. We've embraced mobile technology so much quicker than the rest of the world, and B, if we just look at the location of the people, how widespread they are, it's very difficult to get banking to them, but with digital banking it's so much easier to get it to them. So in terms of security aspect, we're doing a lot of great things in the African continent. Right through the continent we're seeing the banks are understanding that getting the security right, and they're looking at innovation, and that innovation's coming from within Africa, I'm really glad to say.
What's the nature of threats to someone who's trying to bank through the mobile phone or through the internet or any apps that there are in the market?
So you obviously got different types of threats on the different channels. On internet banking, you hear of these threats called man-in-the-middle attacks, or where people try and take over an account. On the mobile channel, it's more a case of people aren't aware of the fact that they might have malware, which is a type of virus, on their mobile device. So these are all, each channel has got slight different considerations as far as security is concerned. But at the end of the day, if the banks approach security the way most of the banks in Africa are approaching it, people shouldn't have any fear about this. Their banks are doing the right things.
Take me through some of the solutions that Entersekt is taking to the market.
Most definitely, thank you. Yes, so at Entersekt, what we believe is that your mobile device is it's the most personal device we've ever known about. And if we can create that end-to-end security point between the bank and between your mobile device, that you know that when you're transacting, that transaction is 100% secure, that you have got the ability to authorize any sensitive transaction, so any payment over a certain amount, creation of new beneficiaries, that you've got that power to say, yes, I want this done, no, I don't want that done. We don't use SMS OTPs, things like that have been compromised way too often in the past. Users really don't like them. People are looking for convenience. If I want to do banking, I don't want to be hamstrung by having to try and put in an OTP, and I'm concerned about where's that OTP generated from and where's that OTP going to. So using PKI infrastructure, we secure that channel between the bank and between its customer. We create that trust, and from then the banks are loving it.
Now, do the current state of threat really call for more innovation, or maybe you feel with the solutions in the market, we just need to enforce and make sure they are adopted at the right rate?
I think there needs to be a high level of adoption from the banks. I know it is difficult. A lot of the banks are dealing with legacy type systems, so high adoption from the banks. But also I think that as consumers, we need to make sure that we are sufficiently educated. Our banks do go to great lengths to let us know about the risks that are out there. I'll give you a great example, is that you might be changing your username or your password on when you're accessing your work computer once a month. Ask yourself the question, when last did you update your internet banking or your mobile banking password? So it's small things like that as consumers we also need to take responsibility for, to assist the banks for this adoption.
You mentioned of trust, I would call it confidence.
Yes.
Can we achieve 100% of this where, as a customer, I'm confident that, my mobile banking is safe, I've done the initiatives that I could do, but also the financial services providers and the companies that like Entersekt have also done your part?
So I think everyone is doing their part. To say, will we ever get to 100%? I don't think it's possible for me to say that no. You know, we don't know what this world's going to look like in 5 years' time, never mind 2 years' time. I think what both the banks and what companies like Entersekt are doing right is that we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. We're trying to understand what those threats are likely to be and put solutions in place before those threats even hit the markets. So that's all we can continue to do to help build that level of trust.